Just in from men's Olympic basketball, Team USA overcame a sluggish start, dominated Puerto Rico 104-83 in its final group play game. Anthony Edwards led the Americans 26 points on 11 of 15 shooting, while Joel Embiid, hearing boos from the crowd in France, dropped 15 points. Team USA clinches the top seed by way of points differential over Germany heading into the knockout rounds next week in Paris. Welcome in basketball analyst Tim Doyle for more on this. Tim, before the game we said, look, USA is going to win this in a walk, and they did. But was there anything in particular that stood out to you about this U.S. team, the way they played this game, which they were expected to win big and did?
And they had nothing to play for. So the stat that stands out to me was for the entire game, they had 6 fouls. 6 the entire game. So that to me just shows, all right, everybody, not get hurt, run up and down. Puerto Rico could play the United States 100 times. They would lose all 100 times. You mentioned Anthony Edwards. He was sensational off the bench. This is a USA team that is ultra talented, and getting Kevin Durant back, he made 3 threes. They struggled from three-point range. They only made 9 as a team. That's going to ultimately be their Achilles heel. But this guy was sensational off the bench. And you remember when they put this team together, he said he was going to be the captain now. I'm the number 1 option. Well, not so fast, young fella. Let's understand your role, and it's a pivotal role coming off the bench. Now, I think the major story in this game, Jeremy, USA was 31.5-point favorite. Then it went to 33. Then it went to 35. And you had to think that Puerto Rico had nothing to play for. Maybe they were enjoying themselves a little bit too much over in Paris. Turns out if you took Puerto Rico plus the points, it was never a sweat. But now we get out of group play, okay? And I think if they match up with Serbia again, let's not forget, Kevin Durant and LeBron James made their first 14 shots combined against Serbia. I thought they played excellent in that game. I think Germany is the main danger. And let's not forget about France as well as Canada, who's undefeated in their group stage. So, like, they did what they had to do, but this is far from over.
Yeah, Germany, Canada, and the USA all finishing top of their groups with perfect 3-0 records. So, Tim, when you look at how this lineup has played, you know, we had the controversy after the first game, you know, the fact that we didn't see Tatum in that game, and then you want to... Steve Kerr's got all these questions fired at him about who's he going to play where. Do you think that this team is now settled into what their roles are? Because that was the biggest question, right? Is do these people know what their roles are on this team? Do you feel that that is an answered question now?
I think it's still a work in progress. Anthony Edwards was the leading scorer in this game. Who took the second most shots? Joel Embiid, he didn't play in the second game. Jason Tatum didn't play in the first game. We are going to talk about the lineup, Jeremy. Get used to it, pal. After every single game, before every single game, what's Team USA going to do? I do know this. All right, Derek White's going to be an important piece in this process, which is crazy because he wasn't even originally on the team. Kawhi Leonard gets hurt, but he's such a great teammate. Drew Holiday didn't play in this game. An amazing teammate. Why? Because they play both ways. They defend. They can lock up. They make the extra pass. They do all the little things. I think Jason Tatum, Devin Booker, Anthony Edwards, much more talented, better offensive players, but there's a lot more to basketball. I think Steve Kerr is going to ride hot hands. And if you remember, Jason Tatum didn't play in the game against Serbia because who got hot? Kevin Durant in that game. So this is going to be ultimately the work in progress. Obviously, Edwards, huge performance today. He's going to be a stalwart on that second team. But what really matters and where the ultimate story is going to be is who plays in the fourth. Because do you want Anthony Davis, who's better guarding the pick and roll, is more versatile? Or do you want Joel Embiid, who's obviously a better offensive player, one of the best offensive players in the NBA currently? I think the fourth quarter against the teams that are still standing, that's going to be an amazing soap opera that Steve Kerr is going to somehow, some way have to manage, even Steph Curry. Because Steph Curry, greatest shooter of all time, but if he's struggling guarding the pick and roll, that's why they're almost lucky or fortunate or a great pick by Steve Kerr could be like, sorry, Steph, like, we got to take you out of the game. Like, you're just struggling right now. And he has the juice to do that because he's won 4 NBA championships with Steph Curry. So I think they're still going to have their hands full. They definitely took care of business. Getting Kevin Durant back, Jeremy, changed the complexion of this team.
Steph Curry, by the way, 3 for 8 from the field, 2 for 6 from 3 points, as we've talked about the fact that he is struggling certainly by Steph's standards. So, Tim, when you look at the other side of this, yes, there's a lot to be happy about, but what are the areas of concern for you in terms of this U.S. team?
Areas of concern. I had a lot more doubts coming into this tournament because I didn't know what Kevin Durant was going to be able to bring to the table. The guy's been out of this world. The performance against Serbia in the first half, they were down 6. If he doesn't play that well, and they won that game cruising, I think that's a game that goes right down to the wire. The Serbia is physical. Obviously, they have Jokic. They play as a team. If the USA has a shooting performance like they did today, where they shoot below 30% from 3 against Germany, Serbia, France, they will lose. If they have a devastatingly bad, because think about the South Sudan game. South Sudan made 7 more threes, went right down to the wire. They won by 1. LeBron makes a layup. Against Germany, Germany made 7 more threes, plus 21 edge from 3-point range. That game, Germany had the lead in the fourth quarter. So that's why Durant coming on the roster, just his ability to stretch the floor. He made a third of the team's threes today against Puerto Rico. I'm not saying they're going to lose, and obviously I'm not rooting for them, but I think they got some really tough games ahead of them.
So, Tim, looking ahead to the quarterfinals, then, who would you like to see the U.S. play? Who would you like to see the U.S. avoid?
Yeah, that's always like the double-edged sword, right? It's like rest or rust that I really don't have the answer for. I think their biggest competition is not Canada. I'm sorry to say that. I know I love their national anthem. I love you. I know you're a great Canadian, okay?
Oh, Tim.
But I think the defense of Germany and the Wagners, you got Mo and Franz, and they're going to pump you up, okay? I think Dennis Schroeder beat USA a few years ago in the FIBA World Cup. And the fact that game was competitive, albeit an exhibition and Durant didn't play, that's the team I gave everybody when they were 21. Now, you're not going to get the same odds. And if it gets to the gold medal game because they are on opposite ends of the bracket, you're going to be able to hedge your bet somehow, some way, and at least turn a profit here. I think USA has looked better than even I expected, but getting Durant back was key. But they're going to have some dogfights of games going forward. And if you bet them against Serbia, they covered in that game, and they were sensational. Over 60% from the field, over 50% from 3. The next 2 games, South Sudan and Puerto Rico today, failed to cover the spread.
Tim Doyle joining us, our basketball analyst, to talk about USA's big win over Puerto Rico as they finish top of their group. Great stuff as always, Tim. Good to see you as we continue to follow the men's basketball tournament. And you see the United States in terms of group play. 3 very good performances for this U.S. team. A lot of question marks coming in. They've answered all the questions and then some. They get the big win out of the gates versus Serbia. Handled their business versus South Sudan. You had the feeling there was perhaps a little bit of something to prove there for the U.S. team after they only beat South Sudan in the exhibition round by a single point. And then today getting the big win over Puerto Rico led by Anthony Edwards and his 26 points. Now the focus shifts to the quarterfinals coming up next week in Paris.
Hello fans, the United States' quest for a 5th consecutive Olympic gold medal in men's basketball continues. The U.S. dominated Puerto Rico on Saturday, 104-83, to round out a relatively straightforward group. The team also easily beat Serbia and South Sudan. The U.S. had already sealed its spot in the quarterfinals with a second win over South Sudan, but solidified its 1-8 seed with the Puerto Rico win. So who will the U.S. play next? Here's its reward for being the top-seeded team in every group. The U.S. will face Brazil in the quarterfinals of the Olympic men's basketball tournament in Paris on Tuesday, and a semifinal against Serbia or Australia awaits the Americans if they advance to the medal round. And the earliest the U.S. could see Germany, Canada, or France is the final. The other quarterfinal games on Tuesday, Victor Wembanyama and France will face Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Canada. Defending World Cup champion Germany will face Giannis Antetokounmpo and Greece, while reigning Olympic bronze medalist Australia drew a matchup with reigning NBA MVP Nikola Jokic and Serbia. Tuesday's losers are finished, and Tuesday's winners will play Thursday in the semifinals, with the winner of USA-Brazil set to face Serbia-Australia and the winner of Germany-Greece facing the winner of France-Canada. The gold and bronze medal games in Paris are next Saturday, the penultimate day of the Paris Games. Puerto Rico, Spain, South Sudan, and Japan were eliminated after the group stage. The U.S., 3-0, secured the number 1 overall seed and, in theory, the easiest quarterfinal matchup on Saturday with its 104-83 win over Puerto Rico. They're all great teams, well coached, U.S. coach Steve Kerr said of the quarterfinals. But Brazil is our focus. Germany, 3-0, is the number 2 seed, finishing behind the U.S. for first place because of a point differential tiebreaker. The Americans outscored all 3 of their group stage opponents by 67 points. Germany outscored all 3 of their group stage opponents by 47 points. Canada, 3-0, is the number 3 seed, trailing both the US and Germany because it had only a point differential of more than 20 in the group stage. You hope to have a slightly easier team in the quarterfinals, Germany coach Gordy Herbert said of finishing with a high seed coming out of the group stage. But I don't think you really do because all the teams here are very good. The key matchup on Tuesday will almost certainly be France-Canada. France lost the group final to Germany on Friday night, a defeat that meant the hosts were drawn in a significantly tougher draw than they would have otherwise. And now France must beat an undefeated Canada team or else they will not medal in Paris in what will be a huge disappointment. I think we all have goodwill, good energy, Wembanyama said. But now I think we have to trust the coach more, just trust our teammates more and do the little things that don't show up on the stat sheets, setting screens, boxing, all that. France coach Vincent Collet said his team can use Canada's higher seeding to its advantage. Now, it's even. We'll be 0-0 on Tuesday, Collet said. They have more to lose than we do in this position. It's a tough draw for Canada, too. It hosts the home team and Wembanyama just to have a chance to advance. Canada hasn't won a medal at the Olympics since winning the silver medal in 1936, an infamous 19-8 loss on an outdoor court in a rainstorm to the US. We've played a lot of really good teams, and we've beaten them all, Gilgeous-Alexander said. There are some things we can clean up for sure, but we'll take it. The U.S. men's basketball team has looked dominant so far at the Olympics as it seeks its 5th consecutive gold medal. It will be fun to see if any country can give this star-studded roster a real challenge. Stay tuned for more updates on your favorite team and players, and be sure to support us by leaving your thoughts in the comments section below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications to know when I send new news. Thank you for following NBA News on TV. A hug and see you next time.